There's an echo where my heartbeat used to live, a room inside me no light can seem to reach. I breathe in slowly just to prove I'm here, but even air feels borrowed now. No anger, no tears, just quiet stretching endlessly. I've got a hollow chest where love once made its home. Every breath moves through me like I'm made of smoke. I've got a hollow chest that no one else can see. The loudest silence always lives beneath the skin. The phone stays dark, the curtains never move. Morning arrives without asking permission. I watch the dust drift through the window light as if time has forgotten my name. Maybe empty doesn't mean broken forever. Maybe space is where something gentle begins again someday. I've got a hollow chest, but it still keeps time. Even shattered hearts can learn another rhythm in the quiet. I've got a hollow chest, and though it aches tonight, I'll leave the window open for whatever finds me next. Silence breathes somewhere beyond this empty room. Morning is already on its way. I still wear the cracks like lines across old glass. Some days they catch the light, some days they only hurt. I thought healing meant never looking back. Now I know it means walking anyway. I'm not whole, not yet, but I'm farther than yesterday. I'm broken, yet moving one quiet step at a time, holding together what's left of me with hope and borrowed light. I'm broken, yet moving, not waiting to be repaired. Life keeps calling, and I'm finally brave enough to answer. My feet doesn't ask who I was. Morning never questions how many tears I've cried. It simply opens another chance to breathe, another page, another sky, another day. Maybe strength isn't standing without shaking. Maybe it's choosing to keep singing even when your voice still trembles. I'm broken yet moving, and somehow that's enough. Every scar has taught my heart the quiet shape of love. I'm broken yet moving toward a life I cannot see, trusting every sunrise to reveal the man I'm meant to be. The cracks remain, but so do I. Still breathing, still hoping, still becoming.
The key still fits, but I don't turn the lock. Some memories need somewhere safe to stay. I stand outside with shaking hands tonight, listening to everything we were. It's strange how goodbye can sound like silence instead of words. I'm closing the door, not out of anger, not because our love was small, but because we've reached the end. I'm closing the door with gratitude instead, for every laugh, every tear, every promise we once meant. The hallway echoes with familiar light. Dust dances slowly where your shadow lived. I thought forever would always need two names. Now I'm learning how to write my own again. Maybe endings are just quiet rooms waiting for courage to open the next window and let morning in. I'm closing the door and leaving it unlocked, not for us to start again, but for forgiveness to walk through. I'm closing the door with a heart that's finally still. I'll carry what was beautiful and gently leave the rest behind. I don't hear the door slam, only the sound of one chapter becoming the past, and somewhere beyond this hallway, another home is waiting. There's a shape inside this empty room. It wears your silence better than I do. Every hallway knows your footsteps still. Even the light falls where you used to stand. I tell myself you're gone, but memory keeps opening the same old door. You're the ghost of us, haunting every ordinary day. Not with fear, but with echoes that refuse to fade away. You're the ghost of us, living somewhere in my mind. A love that's gone, yet somehow still keeps perfect time. I hear your laughter inside passing trains. See your reflection in rain-soaked windows. Every familiar street carries your outline like the city never learned to let you go. Maybe ghosts are only pieces of love without a place to live anymore. Maybe healing is giving them a gentle goodbye instead of another home. You're the ghost of us, but you're fading with the dawn. Not because you matter less, but because I've learned to carry on. You're the ghost of us, a quiet chapter in my soul. I'll remember without returning. I'll love you without holding on. When morning comes, the room is still. The ghost grows lighter with every sunrise, until all that's left is gratitude and peace. kettle starts singing before the sun is awake. I make 1 cup of coffee now instead of 2. The mornings still feel different, but they don't feel as loud. I've stopped expecting your footsteps in the hall. Healing isn't 1 big moment, it's 1,000 quiet mornings like this. I'm learning to be alone, 1 slow day at a time, finding pieces of myself between the silence and the light. I'm learning to be alone without calling it defeat. Maybe peace looks a little like an empty chair that no longer hurts to see. I walk the streets we knew without changing my route. The memories still wave, but they don't pull me under. Your favorite song still plays inside a corner cafe. I smile this time before I walk away. Maybe love didn't fail, maybe it finished the part it came to teach me. And now it's time to keep walking. I'm learning to be alone, and somehow I'm still home. Not because I stopped missing you, but because I found my soul. I'm learning to be alone with a heart that's growing light. The same stars that watch me break now guide me through the night. Tomorrow waits outside the door. I'll meet it just as I am, and that will be enough. I've been holding on so long my fingers forgot how to rest every promise turned into a knot. I carried your goodbye like something I could change if I just waited long enough for the silence to explain. But hope can become another way to hurt yourself when no one is coming home. I'm unclenching my hands, letting every memory fall. Not because it never mattered, but because I can't carry it all. I'm unclenching my hands, feeling the weight disappear, leaving room for a heart that still believes healing lives here. The room still knows the shape of who we were. Your laughter lingers like dust inside the curtains. But every sunrise asks the same old thing. Will I keep reaching for someone who's already gone? Maybe love
tightly we hold on. Maybe love sometimes whispers, open your hands and let the light find them again. I'm unclenching my hands, even if they tremble now. The ache remains, but it no longer owns me somehow. I'm unclenching my hands for the first time in forever. Not to forget, but to forgive the life I couldn't keep together. Couldn't keep together. The morning waits outside my window. My hands are empty, but somehow they finally feel free.
The night forgot which dreams were mine. Your name still echoes somewhere behind my eyes. I reach for memories already turning pale, like old photographs left too long in the sun. Nothing broke, nothing burned, we just became quieter than yesterday. We're slowly fading out, like colors in the rain. Still here, but harder to recognize by name. We're slowly fading out, without a final scene. Just softer shadows where our love used to be. The piano keeps repeating empty rooms. Every note finds another silence. I used to know exactly who I was when your heartbeat lived beside my own. Maybe forever was never a destination. Maybe it was just the distance. We walked together before the light began to disappear. We're slowly fading out, but not without a trace. Pieces of you still linger in ordinary days. We're slowly fading out, and somehow I understand. Some loves don't leave, they simply become part of who I am. If you hear my name someday, I hope it sounds like kindness, not goodbye. The chair is where you left it. The window knows your name. Morning falls the same way, but nothing feels the same. Dust settles on the silence like snow that never melts. This room keeps holding on to everything I couldn't save. No footsteps, no laughter, just walls learning how to echo. The stillness of the empty room is louder than the rain. Every corner whispers softly what we couldn't keep. The stillness of the empty room carries more than air. It holds the shape of someone who isn't there. Who isn't there? Your coffee mug is waiting beside the kitchen sink, as if another morning could change what I still think. I've opened every curtain to let the daylight in, but light can't always reach the places grief has been. Maybe healing isn't filling every empty space. Maybe it's learning to sit beside the silence without looking away. Oh, the stillness of the empty room no longer feels like blame. It's simply where our story rests without a need for names. The stillness of the empty room will someday feel less cold. Until that day, I'll leave the light on for hope. The room is quiet, my heart is too. And somewhere beyond this silence, morning will find me. I found an old notebook hidden beneath the bed. Your name was everywhere in words I barely read. The ink had started fading, but the feeling never did. Every line still knew exactly who I missed. Some stories never end, they simply learn to whisper. These tear-stained pages still remember us. Every sentence carries pieces of a love I couldn't save. These tear-stained pages know the truth by heart. Some words survive long after people fall apart. I smiled at little moments
we thought would never leave. Coffee cups and train rides, Sunday afternoon dreams. Funny how forever can fit inside a page, yet still become too heavy to hold today. If I could write one final line, I'd thank you for the chapters that made me who I am, even if they ended sooner than we planned. These tear-stained pages no longer make me hide. They remind me that I loved with nothing left inside. These tear-stained pages will stay upon the shelf, not to keep the past alive, but to remember myself. I close the book, the room grows still. Some memories need no ending, only peace. I found an old notebook. I found an old notebook. I found an old notebook, hidden beneath the bed. Your name was everywhere, in words I barely read. The ink had started fading, but the feeling never did. Every line still knew exactly who I missed. Some stories never end, they simply learn to whisper. These tear-stained pages still remember us. Every sentence carries pieces of a love I couldn't save. These tear-stained pages know the truth by heart. Some words survive long after people fall apart. I found an old notebook, hidden beneath the bed. Your name was everywhere, in words I barely read. The ink had started fading, but the feeling never did. Every line still knew exactly who I missed. Some stories never end, they simply learn to whisper. These tear-stained pages still remember us. Every sentence carries pieces of a love I couldn't save. These tear-stained pages know the truth by heart. Some words survive long after people fall apart. I found an old notebook hidden beneath the bed. Your name was everywhere in words I barely read. The ink had started fading, but the feeling never did. Every line still knew exactly who I missed. Some stories never end, they simply learn to whisper. These tear-stained pages still remember us. Every sentence carries pieces of the love I couldn't save. These tear-stained pages know the truth by heart. Some words survive long after people fall apart. I found an old notebook hidden beneath the bed. Your name was everywhere in words I barely read. The ink had started fading, but the feeling never did. I held your name long after you were gone, like one last candle fighting off the dawn. Every hope I carried kept asking me to stay, even when the road had turned away. Some endings don't arrive with broken words, they simply ask us to let go. This is the final breath before I set you free. Not because you meant less, but because I still need me. This is the final breath, the last goodbye I owe to the dream we couldn't keep, to the love I'll always know. The room is full of ordinary things, a faded photograph, a quiet window frame. None of them are broken, only changed by time. Just like this aching heart of mine. If love was real, it doesn't vanish, it becomes a softer light, a distant star that still reminds me where I've been without asking me to return. This is the final breath, and I'm no longer afraid. Every tear has led me here, to the man I've slowly made. This is the final breath, before tomorrow starts. I'll carry love without the pain, and leave the rest with the stars. goodbyes become beginnings when the heart finally breathes. The rain keeps writing on my window tonight, words I no longer need to understand. Your name arrives, then quietly dissolves like footprints washed away by morning light. I carry this goodbye long enough to know love cannot be held forever. This is the letting go, not of who you were, but of the hope that you'd return to this empty room. This is the letting go, the hardest prayer I've known, leaving your memory in gentle hands instead of my own. The house feels different without waiting anymore. The silence isn't asking questions like before. Every tear I've hidden has found the river's end. Somewhere beyond the storm I hear morning again. Maybe love was never meant to disappear. Maybe it changes into quiet gratitude, a light that stays without asking to be followed back. This is the letting go, and I'm still standing here, not untouched, not unbroken, but no longer ruled by fear. This is the letting go, the final page I turn. I'll carry your kindness, leave behind the ache, and let tomorrow burn bright. The rain keeps riding on my window tonight. Words I no longer need to understand. Your name arrives, then quietly dissolves, like footprints washed away by morning light. I carried this goodbye long enough to know love cannot be held forever. This is the letting go, not of who you are, but of the hope that you'd return to this empty room. This is the letting go, the hardest prayer I've known. Leaving your memory in gentle hands instead of my own. The house feels different without waiting anymore. The silence isn't asking questions like before. Every tear I've hidden has found the river's end. Somewhere beyond the storm I hear morning again. Maybe love was never meant to disappear. Maybe it changes into quiet gratitude, a light that stays without asking to be followed back. This is the letting go, not of who you were, but of the hope that you'd return to this empty room. This is the letting go, the hardest prayer I've known. Leaving your memory in gentle hands instead of my own. The house feels different without. The words have all been spoken, there's nothing left to prove. The night keeps breathing slowly through the half-open blinds. I sit beside the window, watching darkness soften into something that almost looks like hope. After goodbye, there's always a silence no one warns you about. This is the silence that follows after love has said its name. Not empty, not angry, just quietly changed. This is the silence that follows, where broken hearts begin to hear themselves for the very first time again. The coffee's gone cold, the sky has turned to blue. The clock keeps moving without asking permission. I never thought stillness could be kind until it taught me how to breathe without you. Maybe the quiet isn't here to remind me of what I've lost. Maybe it's here to make room for who I'm This is the silence that follows, and somehow it feels warm, like morning light falling gently across an empty floor. This is the silence that follows, where grief becomes release. One slow sunrise, one steady breath, one quiet peace. No final words, no closing line, just morning arriving softly, where the silence used to be. I still hear the hallway long after you're gone. The floorboards remember the weight of your footsteps. A door closed softly, like it didn't want to wake the truth waiting in the next room. No shouting, no goodbye, just silence, growing louder with every breath. That's the sound of leaving, not the slam of a door, but the quiet after love doesn't live here anymore. That's the sound of leaving, a room learning to breathe, while I sit holding echoes no one else can hear but me. Your favorite coffee cup still waits on the shelf. Morning sunlight falls across an empty chair. Some absences never ask for attention, they simply become part of the air you breathe. Maybe hearts don't break all at once, maybe they unravel. One quiet evening, one missing voice, one lonely morning at a time. That's the sound of leaving, a melody without an end. Not because love disappeared, but because it learned to bend. That's the sound of leaving, and somehow I survive. One small breath, one slow sunrise, one gentle step at a time. The room is quiet, the night is still, and somewhere beyond this silence, life is waiting.
I still hear the hallway long after you're gone. The floorboards remember the weight of your footsteps. A door closed softly like it didn't want to wake the truth waiting in the next room. No shouting, no goodbye, just silence growing louder with every breath. That's the sound of leaving, not the slam of a door, quiet after love doesn't live here anymore. That's the sound of leaving, a room learning to breathe, while I sit holding echoes no one else can hear but me. Your favorite coffee cup still waits on the shelf. Morning sunlight falls across an empty chair. Some absences never ask for attention. They simply become part of the air you breathe. Maybe hearts don't break all at once. Maybe they unravel. One quiet evening, one missing voice, one lonely morning at a time. That's the sound of leaving, a melody without an end. Not because love disappeared, but because it learned to bend. That's the sound of leaving, and somehow I survive. One small breath, one slow sunrise, one gentle step at a time. I still hear the hallway long after you're gone. The floorboards remember the weight of your footsteps. A door closed softly. I packed your letters into a weathered box. Still somehow they filled the whole room. Every photograph carried more than paper. It carried the life we almost knew. Time moves, but memory has its own slow rhythm inside the heart. The weight of memories is heavier than stone. They follow me into every place I call my own. The weight of memories can't be left behind. They settle softly deep beneath the bones of time. name still wears your favorite light. Even the silence learns your name. I stopped asking why you had to leave. Some questions never bloom into answers anyway. Maybe memory isn't here to hold me down. Maybe it's teaching my heart how to carry love without reaching back. The weight of memories feels different now somehow. Still heavy but no longer pulling me below. The weight of memories has become a quiet guide, a reminder that love can stay even after goodbye. Carry you, not as a burden, but as a season that changed who I became. Your number's still here, like a light I can't turn off. My thumb keeps hovering over the same old screen. I know the words would only fall apart before they ever reached you. Some nights the hardest thing is doing nothing at all. I'm trying not to call, trying not to break every promise I made myself the day you walked away. I'm trying not to call even though I still care, because love sometimes means leaving silence there. I rehearse conversations that will never happen, questions without answers, apologies too late. Outside my window, the city keeps moving while I stay frozen between goodbye and hope. If I hear your voice again, would it heal me or undo every quiet step I've taken to become someone who can let go? I'm trying not to call, not because I don't miss you, but because I finally know some endings must stay true. I'm trying not to call, and tonight I'll choose the ache over one more wound that neither of us needs to make. I set the phone face down, the room stays quiet. For the first time, that silence feels
like healing. I know every corner of this familiar street. Every shadow carries a memory of you. I thought I'd stop if I walked this way again. Instead I found the strength to keep moving on. Looking back doesn't mean I want to return. It only means it mattered. I'm walking away with your name still in my heart, not as a burden, but as a chapter that shaped who I am. I'm walking away without closing every scar. Some stories stay to remind us how deeply we can love. The wind still carries the scent of early rain. A song escapes from an old cafe. Nothing has changed except the man I am. The road feels lighter with every passing mile. Maybe goodbye isn't the end of loving someone. Maybe it's learning to wish them well from a distance without asking them to stay. I'm walking away and the sunrise feels close now. Every step is proof that healing can be quiet. I'm walking